The Switch 2 has officially been revealed in what I think we can agree was the most unorthodox fashion, which ironically makes it the most Nintendo fashion. It was just just shadow drops, like it was not a big deal on a random Thursday. Why not? I did upload a reaction video to that trailer. Please check it out if you want someone who was full of positive vibes, because it seems like the internet is kind of 50-50. I've seen some very divisive takes. Some people were really excited like I was. Others found it boring. They found it underwhelming. They thought, why did this even exist? This could have been an email. So I want to focus on the 3 most popular criticisms that at least I've seen involving that trailer. And I want to clarify just right up front, if you feel this way, if you are disappointed, if you're underwhelmed, I am not saying you're wrong. You are completely valid, okay? This is not a video trying to tear you down and make you feel stupid. If anything, I just want to provide a perspective that might even help you feel better about it. Actually, I did lie a little bit because this first criticism I do believe is stupid. I just think people who are saying this are being way too nostalgic. They're romanticizing the past, and they're just being short-sighted, honestly. And that's the people who are saying that the Switch 2, being an upgraded Switch, is boring. Why isn't there some huge gimmick like there has been for the previous Nintendo consoles? And to me, it's like, oh, now we want a huge gimmick. Because let's just be honest for a second. Let's not pretend that most of us actually even used the 3D on the 3DS. Let's not pretend that the Wii U gamepad was this beloved invention, because it really just showed the creativity, it fully justified its existence. They just really did wonders with that gimmick. And for as nostalgic as we are about the Wii, especially given the average age of the person partaking in these online discourses for Nintendo, let us not pretend that the Wii's gimmick aged well. Even after a few years of that console's lifespan, people just got over it. The novelty faded. In fact, nowadays, most people don't even like motion controls. That aged well. And yes, if you want novelties, Nintendo's still doing it. Look at the Joy-Con. The Joy-Con can do several things that most games just don't do because they are a novelty. But the few games that use them, hey, that's awesome. Ring Fit Adventure does things that most games don't do, but that game, I'm so glad it exists. It single-handedly carried my physical health for a year at least. And then there's also Labo. Remember that? That definitely happens. You probably openly mocked it. But that is my point. Nintendo has not stopped being weird and quirky and creative. Let us stop that narrative. Yes, even though this console is a straightforward console, the most straightforward console they've done in a long time, that does not mean that they're gonna stop being weird. Hell, even the rumors about the Joy-Cons being used as a mouse, which was heavily teased in that trailer, that is weird. That is not something people even remotely thought about a few months ago. The innovation is still there. It's just not gonna be in your face. And to me, that is the ideal scenario. That is the perfect middle ground. If you do want those quirky features, they are going to be there. But if you don't, you still can enjoy your Nintendo Switch 2. It's not gonna be forced down your throat. And really, what I find most baffling about this criticism is that it directly conflicts with the most popular criticism. The most popular criticism is that we barely got any information from this trailer. They just told us that it exists, essentially. You can't say that, but also say the Switch 2 is boring. If you're saying that we are ignorant, then how can we also say that we have enough information to dismiss it as a boring device that does not innovate? It just doesn't make sense. You're just talking just to talk at that point. But this is where I do start feeling empathetic. Like I said, the most popular criticism is the lack of information. They could have just given us a little more crumbs, and a lot of this discourse wouldn't exist. And it feels frustrating because we've been waiting on this for years at this point, and to finally have an announcement, a proper reveal, and still not know much? To put it eloquently, it feels like we're getting blue-balled. At the same time though, I do have to say this is where it gets complicated, because whenever I see the most vocal person complaining about this, they are most likely someone who deeply followed the leaks. And look, those leaks were rampant. You did not have to actively follow them to see them. You were probably just scrolling innocently on your social media feed, or maybe some YouTube thumbnail caught you by surprise. And yeah, you probably saw an image of the Switch 2 before that proper reveal. But the most vocal tend to be the people who did actively follow the leaks. And I have to admit, I was one of those people. I generally do not like leaks, but regarding hardware, I don't care as much. I was completely okay with just following the leaks, especially with how long it has taken to get to this point. So considering I'm in the same position as you, why aren't I sharing the same feelings? Why aren't I disappointed that I barely learned anything new? And the answer is quite simple, and probably won't be surprising if you watched my previous videos. It's just the fact that really any conversation online is never as big as you think that it is. So in this case, yes, the leaks were running rampant. For Nintendo fans, maybe it felt like you couldn't escape them. And if you look at the YouTube comments on the reveal trailer, there's so many jokes, so many upvotes about the leaks and how this wasn't really a surprise. But at the end of the day, that is all a vocal minority. I am aware that someone who followed the leaks, like myself, does not represent the vast majority of Nintendo Switch 2 consumers. So even if it wasn't new to me, it was objectively new to many people. Millions upon millions upon millions of people. That was indeed a bona fide console reveal. I would be feeling different if they didn't announce that Nintendo Direct in April. If that was not there, I would still be excited just to have official information, but not only would I have not learned anything new, but I would also be feeling like, well, what do I look forward to now? There's nothing concrete left. That mere announcement of a Nintendo Direct is what really ties everything together. It's the crucial piece of the puzzle. As I alluded to, that reveal was not for us. It was not for the Nintendo know-it-alls who swears that everybody and their mom already knew about the Switch 2. That Direct is going to be our moment. That is when you and I are gonna be partying, baby. And Nintendo knows that. They know that as much as we want to complain and we want to joke, they know that that mere announcement is going to be what satiates us. That alone, that is the power of Nintendo Directs. And let's just call a spade a spade. Let's just be blunt. Let's just be truly honest with ourselves, as much as we don't want to admit it. Deep down in your heart, you know, and certainly Nintendo knows, that people like you and me, who actively follow Nintendo, people who chose to use their free time to follow those leaks, those are the same people who are going to buy a Switch 2 anyway. They did not need a substantial reveal trailer to get into our wallets. Let's just be honest, guys. As much as we want to complain, does it really matter? No, it doesn't. That Direct is gonna be what matters. And so, as basic and minuscule and anticlimactic as that trailer was, it accomplished what it needed to do. Number one, it needed to convey to a casual audience, an audience that is not guaranteed to watch that Nintendo Direct, an audience that are gamers but they don't follow gaming discourse, which I'm very envious of. Those are the people that needed to know that the Switch 1 is inferior to the Switch 2, because look how much it evolves, look how much it transforms, look how bigger and better it is. And the second thing they accomplished is ironically what we're complaining about. The lack of surprises. You think there aren't gonna be a library of launch games worth being hype about? No, they're gonna be there. And it's better to save them for that Direct, because that just makes it even more of a must-watch event. That is going to make it so much more likely that we leave that event so impressed, feeling like we have to buy a Switch 2. Why blow their load if we already bought a ticket to the Nintendo Direct? That is the event where they need to make sure they pleasantly surprise us as much as possible. Now you could be asking, why even have the reveal trailer at all then? If they want to make this Nintendo Direct a big deal, as it should be, then surely that would reach that casual audience. They didn't really need this reveal trailer then, right? Well, that is a fair point, but we have to remember the third-party companies. They need the Switch 2 to be revealed in order to reveal their games for the Switch 2. Because the fact of the matter is, not every third-party game is going to be in that Direct. That Direct screen time is going to be highly demanded, to say the least. And so, revealing it now just gives those developers more flexibility. If they can't make it onto that Direct, or if they just simply want to announce it sooner, then yeah, now they can. Just slap the official Switch 2 logo on it. You can do that now. And that leaves the third most popular criticism, this time pertaining to the actual new information we got. We actually got footage, never seen before, of the new Mario Kart for the Switch 2, but there's a few problems with that. First of all, it's not immediately apparent that it is a new Mario Kart. Like I was able to tell, but I know, especially if you're a casual gamer, you might just confuse it for Mario Kart 8. I sincerely agree with this. They should have done a better job to convey that, especially since visually, just purely visually, it does not seem like that much of a step up from Mario Kart 8, which to be fair, is a beautiful game. Still one of the best looking games all these years later. Now, when you rewatch it, when you analyze it, there's actually so much new in that game. The scale is insane. It's gonna be out of control. It's so exciting. But is that apparent? Is that immediately obvious? No, it is not. And so, you could understandably argue, at the very least, there should have been one more game that conveys that graphical upgrade. Because, you know, judging by the rumors and leaks, it is going to be substantially more powerful than the Switch 1. But this reveal trailer just didn't show that. Honestly, if you were to ask me, if Elden Ring is gonna be on the Switch 2, which I think is very likely, then they should have just dropped it in that reveal trailer. Because that immediately shows, okay, yeah, the Switch 2 is way more powerful than Switch 1, but it's not like a huge surprise. You know, it's not something that they have to save for that Direct. But there's something I've learned after being a Nintendo fan ever since I was a child, and that is, often, Nintendo does not do something if they don't need to. You might have thought I was kissing Nintendo's butt this whole video, but yeah, Nintendo just kinda doesn't do things. That's why their online is still so bad. It's because they don't need to make it better to sell Switches, so why even bother? And that ties back to what I'm saying about the casual audience. All they need is Mario Kart. Mario Kart just... it just went crazy. It sold a little too many copies. It is remarkable. And so Nintendo knows, yeah, I mean, we don't need to show anything else. We can save those surprises because for most people, Mario Kart, bam, they're in. So now that I've addressed those criticisms, there's one ultimate message that I want you to leave this video with. It's something that I've always wanted to talk about, honestly, and this is made for the golden opportunity. Regarding trailers, Nintendo has historically had the tendency to underpromise and then overdeliver. My go-to example is Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U. I remember when they dropped that first trailer, there was so much pessimism because it wasn't the type of 3D Mario that I wanted, and it looked so generic, and there's just a lot of negativity until the narrative shifted hard because the second trailer was just full of confidence and creativity that even if you didn't want that type of game, well, guess what? You are still going to be confident in that game's quality. Like I said, underpromise then overdeliver. And then that carried forward to the Switch era. Remember how Super Mario Odyssey was revealed for the first time in the October 2016 reveal for the first Switch. And then it had a proper trailer in the January 2017 presentation. But it wasn't until all the way several months later in June at E3 that they finally revealed Cappy. Think about how integral Cappy is to that game's whole identity. We knew about that game for so long, and yet we had no clue about Cappy. And not to mention, that trailer by itself is one of the best Nintendo's ever done. Like, it's actually goated. It's phenomenal. But because of that, nowadays, people often forget the skepticism around that game. When it was first revealed, there were people just not liking New Donk City, and some were afraid that it was like an auto runner for some reason. It was weird. It was weird times back then. But it all worked out because turns out they underpromised and then over-delivered. Now, I'm not saying this happened with every Switch game, but it did happen with a lot of them. Like, off the top of my head, Fire Emblem Three Houses. That game blew up in popularity, but at first, people were skeptical because it took place in an academy setting. But then, I remember, I think the third trailer it was, where they revealed the time skip. That's when the narrative shifted, and they specifically waited to reveal that in that trailer. And of course, I have to point out a notorious example, an example that is so extreme that it should not be repeated, and that is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I freaking love this game, but it was so silly how they revealed it back in 2019, and then it wasn't until like 2 months before it came out in 2023 that they finally realized, oh yeah, maybe we should reveal the game's mechanics. Maybe we should show that off. Suffice to say, Nintendo has gotten into a little bit of a habit of under-promising with their first showing and then over-delivering with their second or third. And I'm not saying this is for better or worse. I'm not saying they should function this way. But what I am saying is that if you are feeling underwhelmed, if you are feeling disappointed, then you just have all the more reason to be really excited for that Nintendo Direct. I would not be remotely surprised if all of this disappointment right now is just forgotten, just out of our heads completely when that Direct takes place. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it just is irrelevant next week. Not that next week is important, but it's just like, I don't know. A lot of this discourse just seems to me like discourse for the sake of having discourse, you know, because we didn't get much new revealed and we have to be patient now, so I guess we'll fill the time with complaining. That's just how it feels to me, and I'm not saying that's bad to do, I'm not saying you're wrong to do that, because here I am, venting in this video. Let's get this negativity out, and then look forward to the future, because I am just so confident. I really am. I should also mention my one fear, and it's a very major fear. I am like frightened this is going to happen. I am really scared that April 2nd is too far away. It makes sense because the Switch 1 was revealed in October and then 2.5 months later in January. Same thing here. We got a reveal mid-January, 2.5 months later, the beginning of April. It makes complete sense. It follows the trends, but I am just so afraid there's going to be a lot of prevalent video game leaks. I can handle hardware leaks, but I don't want to see the software. And with how rampant the leaks are, with how willing people are to just casually share them, not caring about who sees them, just share them to talk about them, whatever, who cares, right? I hate it. I genuinely hate leak culture. I do. I've done really well to avoid them in previous directs. And Nintendo, honestly, when it comes to their software specifically, they've done a good job at avoiding that. You might hear rumors, but it's very rare that you'll see an outright leaked footage or anything like that. It has happened, of course, but it's rare. So I'm really hoping, I'm praying to Miyamoto right now, please keep the leaks to a minimum. Try your absolute best. I really don't want this Direct to have so much leaked content. It's gonna be so lame, guys. If you thought this reveal trailer was lame, well, how the hell do you think you're gonna feel when you go into that Direct knowing like half of what's gonna happen? You can follow it, that's fine, that's your prerogative, but it's just the casual sharing of it. I understand if you followed and even shared the Switch 2 leaks because we've been waiting for this thing for so damn long. I get it, it's been years, but this Direct is 2.5 months away. That's really not that far. So please have some restraint, please be courteous to others. Okay, I did not plan to speak for that long. I apologize so much if I sounded like I was rambling, but I hope at the very least you're able to leave this video a little bit, just a teensy bit more excited for the Switch 2. Mayhaps, that would be great. I just think that despite the brief reveal trailer, it's just exciting to be in a time where we know that it's real, and we know that we can finally leave the Switch 1 behind. We're getting a new console, finally. I just can't wait. I really cannot wait for the April Direct. I can't wait to stream my reactions and post it on YouTube. It's gonna be so fun. It's gonna be so fun, and we're all gonna have fun together. Okay, even if I don't see you, like maybe you came here because you're still feeling the Switch hype, or you're still feeling like sad about it or whatever. Maybe you found this video by browsing YouTube. I might never see you again, but I'm glad I saw you today. So I hope you have a good rest of your day or night, and yeah, here's to the Switch 2 and the agonizing wait until April. I will see some of you then.